Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mindshifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeannie. Michael and Jeannie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rakhma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeannie Ryce.
There's a darkness within you, and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to Mindshifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. And we're sitting in Boca. We're back in the States, and we're at a Sultan's Express, phenomenal little cafe here on the street going straight into the beach on Palmetto. I've just been open a little bit, so I'm giving him a little commercial here. Welcome, Michael, to the show. David's already on. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, sweetie. We've got a gorgeous day going here in Boca Raton. It's probably about 82 or 83 degrees, so it's very pleasant, very sunny, absolutely beautiful. A little different than that rain we had when we were over in the Bahamas, but, somebody had to do it, so we volunteered. In any event, we're delighted that you're each with us today and that we have this opportunity one more time to create a space of support for the process of learning and engaging in forgiveness. When we talk about Memorial Day, we talk about Veterans Day, we really, truly want to honor those who have been forced into the insanity of war. And it is insane, no question about it, all of it. Well, Michael, that's just the way it has to be. Well, that is the way it has to be as long as there's no human life around. However, when human life shows up, that dynamic begins to change, whether it's your personal wars, your interpersonal wars, the one that goes on inside of you. There's a woman, I forget her name offhand, who put forward a quote that said, "It's difficult to defeat an enemy that has an outpost in your own head." and that's the biggest enemy to be defeated. But when instead of that enemy running your mouth, your true human beingness runs your mouth, you have a whole different game. And together, we create a whole different world. That's what we're here to support you in doing. Now, of course, the discussion becomes well, tell me what a human life is. It's easy. It's really easy. There's an experiential definition because you can't put it into words. Just hold a newborn child. You know exactly what human life is. So as you hold that newborn and you tap into that awesome active presence of love, know that that's your essence, and that the world has brainwashed you into something different than that. It's time for us to undo the brainwash. And the process of forgiveness is how to undo that brainwash. And when we get to a point of critical mass, that is, we get enough people who actually live as human beings, then we're going to change the whole dynamic of war on planet Earth. We're not going to have to change every vicious, violent, non-being mind, every non-human on the planet. We don't have to do that. All we have to do is get enough people through the gate who will actually live their lives as human beings, and we'll see a whole different process happening. You'll have to excuse me if you hear a little bit of road noise. I'm outdoors. I'm actually in behind a building in a covered area, but once in a while somebody's coming by on a motorcycle, so we'll ask you to excuse that noise. And if you haven't engaged yet in the process of forgiveness, it's interesting how many people just love it when they hear about it and go, yes, but then actually doing it, actually putting the pen to the paper. Well, I'm too busy. Well, I don't think this will work. Well. And there are a million excuses. And our offering is, let's let go of the excuses. Let's just begin to recognize that If you're experiencing something that's less than your human life, then it's time to remove whatever it is that has been pounded into you that has you experiencing that. So it's kind of like, if you imagine that, we come into the world and they put thumbprints on us, so now here we are on the inside pounding out the thumbprints, getting rid of the hostility, the fear, the grief, the pain, the trauma. And forgiveness, and this is virtually unheard of on planet Earth until the rediscovery of this Aramaic tool of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a tool for removing content from your mind, from your body, from your emotions. It has nothing whatsoever to do with letting somebody else off the hook because there's something untoward in your mind, your body, or your emotions. So that's what we're here to support you in. And if you have questions, we love to hear your questions. That's what really makes this show alive, is the real-life issues that people bring to the table. And I have the courage to share with us on the show and ask their questions, and they're doing the work. If you want to access the worksheet process, if you go to our website, whyagain.com, on the right-hand side there's a link that says download worksheets. And all you have to do is hit that link, and the first 7 links will give you the whole story of forgiveness, the whole how-to of forgiveness. And so we ask you to jump on board, take the tool, put it to work in your life. Watch what happens. So Jeannie, or David, welcome to the show. How do you be, sir?
Doing
Mute
well,
button,
Mike.
maybe? There you go.
Yeah.
Welcome, and your crew is growing there. You had 2 new arrivals last night. Anybody want to introduce themselves or say hello?
Hi, I'm Mary Lou from Ocala, Florida. Glad to be at Heartland. Oh, my.
Oh, hi. That's it.
Hi, I'm Lenore McCary from Ocala, Florida. Wonderful to be here at Heartland. Learned a lot.
Well, we welcome you both to the space, and of course we've got the regulars now. Richard, is Richard with us there today?
Yes, I am.
Hey there, sir. And then Joanne. So Richard is from, I guess across between the west coast of Florida and Asheville, North Carolina. And Joanne is from Lost Wages out in Nevada.
That's the place where you want to go if you want to lose your wages. I'm here.
And Joanne, do we have any word on how your niece is doing?
Better. In fact, I got a report yesterday, an update, because a doctor called the room and thanked the person that answered the phone for a card that he got. And the person didn't have any clue what he was talking about. And it turned out that this was a new doctor. The new doctor had been so polite, helpful, courteous, etc. to my niece. She told her mother. Her mother sent a card to the doctor, and the doctor said he was so happy to get it. It was the first time in 25 years anybody had thanked him. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, he was one of her surgeons.
Uh-huh. Well, that's the kind of energy that she needs to have surrounding her, that kind of appreciation and love. That's the best healer there is, for sure, and we add to that energy and that support.
Right.
So does anyone, before we open the lines to questions, does anyone from the Heartland contingent, and I don't know if Julie's with us today or not. We haven't actually heard Julie's voice on the show for a while. Julie, are you there?
She's not here, Michael. She had some errands that she had to go take care of today, and so she's not available today.
Okay, well, tell her we said hello and we send her a hug. And so from the crew, before we open the phone lines to someone else, any questions, thoughts, anything to share?
Thoughts for the crew? They're all just kind of freaking out here. I mean, Lenore's going, I'm just so glad to be here, and so is Mary Lou. They're just so glad to be here, and now their stuff is already coming up. Mary Lou's had a wonderful opportunity to deal with her wet luggage that she brought with her. There, Mary
I
Lou.
love my wet luggage. I love to have all these what I could describe as important papers to be wet. And figuring out how to engage with them and to be present to David as he's telling me that laws of living is an issue.
I never said laws of living was an issue.
My numbers show.
But her evaluation shows that. So she wants to, David did it. Yeah. So
well,
anyway.
isn't it interesting that something as simple as a wet piece of paper can change your state of being, be the cause of the change of the state of being? Isn't that interesting? Aren't we amazing?
Actually, I just think it's a barometer for what's going on inside. Because if I'm not upset about, if I was in that peaceful place and I wouldn't have something to be upset about, I would have an experience and I could process it differently. But I'm not doing that now, and so I'm being really honest. I've decided that as honest as I can be, as David runs out of the room, I'm going to attempt to acknowledge what's really up.
Awesome. Well, that's fabulous. And, of course, there's a goal. I say, of course, there's a goal that you're going to need to be looking at and what that goal accesses in your mind when it becomes active over whatever the issue is, and you get to clear out another layer of what's going on inside, and that's what we're here to support. And, of course, if David hasn't said it already, we'll repeat what we offer at the beginning of every intensive. And of course, you had this statement made in the intensive you did in Palm Coast a few weeks ago, and that is that everybody you've never dealt with in your life, we've invited to come and be there, and they all agreed to show up.
I'm so glad. Thank you. Thank you for showing up.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. I do appreciate you inviting everybody to show up with me.
Oh, nice. Nice one.
Cool.
And I've shared up with everybody.
Well, it's going to be fun, and it's going to be like a reunion for all the folks that were in Palm Coast this summer. There are several people who are coming to play, so that'll be quite exciting. And for anybody who's ready to take your work to the next level, there's a crew that's gathering at Heartland. They're starting to work on projects to get the property ready for the intensive season. And then July the 12th will begin Food, Fun, Forgiveness, and Work project. And I did talk with Ari this morning, and Ari has set next Monday as a day for all the food questions that you want to ask. We've got this gentleman who is an absolute food encyclopedia. His knowledge is just legendary in the food world. And so questions you have, I loved some of the ideas he expressed yesterday. If you didn't listen to yesterday's show, we talked a lot about food and some of the things we're going to be doing, some pretty cool and exciting stuff that will happen in that 10-day process. And basically that 10 days is a process. It's a kind of an economy program at Heartland where people come together and we do work projects on the property to get it ready for the intensives. And then in the evenings we'll do classes, and Ari will be doing some really awesome food teaching. And we're going to incorporate some cooked food into the process, seeing as how it's not an actual intensive. It's the Food, Fun, Forgiveness, and Work project. And so we'll be doing some cooked and some raw. And one of the neatest ideas he came up with yesterday was taking some of the dishes and preparing them using raw methods, which in a sense is a form of cooking, but it maintains the enzymes. For instance, if you cook something, so to speak, in lemon juice, the enzymes in the lemons break the food down, which is similar to what heat does, except that it maintains the life force, and it totally changes the character of the dish. So Ari has in mind to do several dishes where we'll be doing something that's cooked with heat and then using other methods and just comparing taste, texture, and all those things. So it's going to be a cool experience. So we'll be doing the food process, and in the evenings we'll do classes. We'll be planning to do at least 2 mind shifters and still point breathing sessions during that 10 days. And then there'll be a day off, and on the 23rd of July, we'll start a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive. And then when that 9-day finishes. It'll finish in the morning, and then it will continue on in the evening, and we'll go into teacher's training, which is a 9-day process. Of course, the 9-day Y is a prerequisite to the 9-day teacher training, so there'll be many who will be coming for the whole 17-day. And in the 9-day, it's designed for people who either want to teach or who really want to deepen their experience of the forgiveness process, because we spend a full 9 days totally focused on refining the understanding of that process of Aramaic forgiveness, of how you go inside yourself and remove what never belonged, and to step into process work through the whole thing. And in this work, we define process as the capacity to hold love, conscious, active, and present when something less than love comes up. And so life is fraught with opportunities. Sometimes it would be nice if life were not quite so fraught. But it usually is, and we get all the opportunities we need to learn forgiveness, and that's what our summer is about at Heartland. So,
Michael?
David, do you have any thoughts there? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was checking in. Did you hear back from Ari to give you a date of when he was going to be on the radio?
Yes, next Monday. Yeah, that's set for next Monday.
Very good. Thank you.
So we'll be doing the show next Monday, and everybody, if you would, get your food questions together, your thoughts and the suggestions for the 10-day, and Ari will be on the show on Monday, and that's what we'll be talking about. That'll be the focal point of our conversation on Monday.
Good. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, anybody there, any questions, thoughts, anything to share? All right, well, let's check with Jeannie and see if we've got any callers. Our calling number, of course, is 646-200-4169.
We do not have any callers, and there's no questions in the chat room. You might share just, we popped back into the States from the Bahamas on Saturday, and Sunday we already had 3 events booked. So we did one last night. You might want to share how that turned out and then announce what we've got going for the rest of this week. And that was just a spontaneous thing, which was great.
Yeah, actually a gentleman here named Tom really has been trying to get the opportunity for his friends to catch us before we left Florida. And so on Sunday we met and had lunch, and he had a name of someone who had a gathering called Heart Space set for Monday night, a potluck dinner, and lo and behold, coincidentally, they didn't have a speaker. So we drove up to the other side of the world from where we are in Boca Raton, way out west, and this awesomely beautiful, huge home. I mean, just awesome. This home has a zip line in the backyard and a pool, and I mean, it's just amazing. But anyway, there were about, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 people there last night. And so we got to present some base ideas. It was just a short presentation, 45, 50 minutes, on, the whole idea of forgiveness and where we're heading with this project. And a bunch of people responded. There were some old-timers, people I hadn't seen in 25 years that used to study with me when I was in South Florida were there last night. And then folks who've not only been studying with us since then, but actually using the tools. So a couple of those folks there, and then a whole room full of new folks. And so we're looking forward to seeing them. We've actually got the rest of the week before we leave here on Saturday, at least that's what we're planning right now, is that on Wednesday night, Michael and Margaret's support group in Boca Raton will be doing at Dr. Love's office in Boca. The information's on the website. And then on Thursday night, we'll be down in Fort Lauderdale at Patricia's new group, and Patricia and Ron are doing one. And so we'll be there on Thursday night participating in that. And Friday night, we'll be up at a Quaker meeting house. We were able to secure a facility for the Wise Is Happening to Me Again workshop. So we'll do that at 7 o'clock on Friday night. And then Saturday we'll be doing mind shifters and still point breathing before we leave. So there's lots happening. If you're in South Florida, come and join us. Come and play.
And then next week we're going to be going up to High Springs for a few days to get with the gentleman who's helping to revamp and bring the website up to more modern technology. And we're meeting with him, and that's going to be a phenomenal change. So one day soon you're going to go to whyagain.com and go, wow.
Yeah, all kinds of new technology coming into it. So we're looking forward to how all that comes together and what we'll be doing.
And then we head to Wilmington, North Carolina for 3 days, and then on up to Bristol, Tennessee for my family reunion. And then we will be at Birmingham, Alabama. And then we'll be joining everybody at Heartland. It's busy.
So if you're in any of those places, you know where we're going to be. Come and play. And our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Give us a call. Let us support you in this process of learning the ancient internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. So, Jeannie, do we have any callers? Anything happening in the chat room?
No, nobody had. Oh, somebody just put their hand up. So we've got a caller, area code 607. You're on the air.
Hey, Michael and Jeannie and everybody at Heartland. It's Richard from Ithaca. How is everybody doing?
Hey, we're blessed, sir. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. And certainly my decision to retire is bringing up a lot of issues for me, for certain. And a lot of stuff coming up. So hopefully I'll be able to deal with some of that when I get to Heartland as well. Continue my healing.
You will definitely have support for that, sir. What kind of things are coming up?
Oh, some issues that are bringing, things. I don't know if I feel comfortable talking right now about what they are.
Oh, sure. Well, that's cool.
Certainly some issues with a coworker at work, and some issues at the foundation where I had basically a couple of weeks ago had basically held some people accountable for some of their actions, and the result of that was being told that I pissed off everybody in the world. So it's like, okay, whatever. Anyway.
Well, Richard, when people are addicted, when they use blockage of truth to manage their stress, it becomes an addiction. And when you take away somebody's addiction, when you reflect truth back to them, stress goes up. There's no two ways about it. That's just part of the process. And, of course, then the question is, do we function unconsciously, which is what most people do, and that is when their stress goes up, they have the stress hooked to getting rid of the source of the information that's showing them the truth, and that's the addictive aspect of it. That's how they manage the stress. Or the other option is, if you've got the tools, when you see something that brings truth forward in you, instead of puking on the person standing in front of you, you stop and you go, wow, this is bringing a lot of stress up for me. I think I need to learn to remove this internal stress, because if this internal stress were not in me, I couldn't be experiencing it. And so once I recognize that, I get the opportunity to start to move through those layers and those levels.
That's certainly true for me, And again, it's a process, because I'm actually retiring from work, it's a process of leaving. And so, anytime people tend to leave, there's all kinds of issues come up. And so, anyway, just I was in work this morning and realized some stuff going on for myself. So I just thought I needed to take the rest of the afternoon to go home and process some of that myself.
Cool. Well, we'll hold the space and we'll breathe with you.
There you go. I do have a question for you. Did you see my email this morning regarding the stuff that you purchased?
I did, yes. I did, and I'll get back to them. I just I didn't have an opportunity to respond. I just saw it come in, and I was just heading out the door when it came in. So.
Okay, I just wanted to check on that because it still hasn't showed up here at my place. So I was starting to get a little concerned about what's going on or whether we need to track it and find out what happened. Anyway.
Okay.
So other than that, all right, great.
Or if you've got the space and you'd like to, you're certainly welcome to call them and just ask. The order number's there.
Right. Unfortunately, I'm not a place where I can deal with it now because I don't have the information for them.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway.
Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you later. Have a good day.
Okay, blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I want to, somebody we haven't heard from in a couple of weeks is Rex. Is Rex out there, Jeannie? 517 number?
There is a 517, but I'm not sure if it's Rex. I'll turn them on and we'll see. Rex, you said
well, if it's Rex, push the button and say hello. We haven't heard your sweet voice in a while.
Are you there?
I heard a voice in the background, but I couldn't tell what you were saying.
$517, you're on.
You're on the air, 517. Is this Rex?
It's a beautiful mute button. It's Rex.
Okay. It is. All right. I just, I was getting a little concerned. I hadn't heard from you in a couple of weeks. Last time I heard you went off on vacation somewhere up in the north woods of Michigan, and I didn't know if maybe you'd gotten on a boat and just taken off or what.
Well, Michael, it's just a testament to how tuned in you are. I was working with, I've had a fair amount of clients that I've had to schedule during the program, so I haven't been able to. But I just dialed in, and your voice just started this talk, and the first thing out of your mouth was, we haven't heard from Rex in a while. Is he on the phone? And it was exactly the first sentence that I heard on the program today.
I love it. So, perfect.
I love it too. And so yes, I've missed being on the program and listening. I've been tuning in on the archives when I'm able to. But yes, I have been very busy, which is good. But hey,
that's a good thing. That's awesome. Yes.
Yes. And we're doing our support group tonight. We have a support group tonight. And it's in Lansing, obviously, Michigan, and it's at my home. It's on Lucy. You can check Michael's website or my website and find out the address. But we start at 6:45, and we're there until 9:30 or so. Boy, you're coughing a bit there, Michael. What's up?
Oh, we just had some lunch. I'm out in the back of a restaurant, and I had just finished eating a piece of baklava, and I got a piece of nut stuck in my throat, so I'm trying to get it out of my throat.
Been there, done that. Not pleasant.
Yeah.
So you're back from the island. You were on the.
We are.
You were on the. Yep. And how was your vacation?
It was wonderful.
Awesome.
It was just fabulous. We had some quiet time and rest time. We did end up doing some workshops while we were there. We accidentally keyed in with some folks who had at the yoga center there, and so we went and did 3 workshops for them, and so that was fun. And it's always good to be in the saddle, and nothing more delightful or empowering or exciting than doing that.
Absolutely. So I have tuned in a couple days, but I've missed the days I haven't raised my hand. As a matter of fact, one day I did raise my hand, and it was like 3 occasions. You even said, is there anybody with their hand up? And I had my hand up, so I hung up real quick, called back again, raised my hand again, and somebody else had raised their hand in between. And so then it didn't show my hand was up again, so I hung up. So there was one day there was a challenge, but I haven't had that on a regular basis. So how's everything going with the program? What's been happening?
We're just, everything's rocking along. We've got 4 events before we leave South Florida. We'll be finishing here Saturday, although we are talking with somebody, and we might stay over here and do something on Monday, but otherwise we're on the road and heading up to do some work on the website. There's a whole new face coming and new technology coming into our website on YGAN.com. And it's pretty cool looking, pretty nice. And so we'll be doing that and then heading to North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and then back to Heartland for Food Fund Forgiveness, which starts on the 12th of July.
Yes, it's coming up.
Yes.
Yeah, we're excited about coming down. I'm not sure I get the background noise. Mitzi and I and Susan are excited about coming down and participating in that, the Y intensive. So it sounds. That must be your.
Well, we're delighted that you're going to be there, and we're excited too.
Awesome. So process healing has been happening. Lots of insights and understanding. Our son seems to be doing quite well, and that's some good news and good stuff happening there. Journey, and Mitzi has been doing a lot of healing work. She's actually did a birth last night and until 6 o'clock this morning, or actually 8 o'clock, and then went to work after that. So I expect she's pretty tired, but just a lot of growth and a lot of change, and there seems to be a lot happening everywhere. Europe's going through some challenges with the economy, as everyone knows, I'm sure. And, there's some changes that are taking place there that could influence everything, or everything on a physical level and, our economy. And so there's a lot happening. There's lots of opportunities to apply the tools of forgiveness to and changing those realities. So just staying to the grindstone and continuing to do the work.
It's definitely an exciting time to be alive.
It sure is. And it's a matter of helping everyone. Helping isn't necessarily the key word, but supporting everyone, seeing it as an exciting time, because it sure can transform what we're experiencing in it, So a lot of people are seeing it as really difficult, painful, and struggle. And, as we understand, it's something that's coming up inside them. It's being triggered. And, not everybody seems to be ready to do the work at the level that some of us are doing it, and that's okay too. I know it's been intense on this side, and without the tools, I would feel relatively lost, honestly. So it's a way of staying connected to my source and continuing healing. I did the first time, Michael. I did a workshop. I'd never done a Y workshop in 2 parts, and I had a group that I went and did a talk with, and I did a spontaneous talk. They said, "Well, just come. We've heard about you. We'd like to hear what you got to say." So, well, what would you like me to speak on? He said, "Well, whatever you want." I said, "Okay." So I just did a spontaneous 2-hour presentation on, and integrating some of the codependency stuff and the healing through relationships and forgiveness, and they just were really moved by the experience, as was I. And then they invited me back and asked me, can you come and do a workshop or something along that line. So then we set in motion a 2-hour event, and I said, well, boy, 2 hours is really not enough time for me to do any of the full workshops that I normally do. So I thought I'd just start praying on it, and what I came up with is to do 2 2-hour sessions of the Y workshops. I thought, well, how's that going to work? If you get them all stirred up and you get all the material out, and they get quote triggered, and then you say goodbye, and we'll catch you in a couple weeks. Well, it was just interesting how it all got navigated and moved to a place of I'm going to see how it unfolds in the second part, but it's the first time I've ever done that. I don't know if you've ever done that, but it was just something that unfolded. So I'm exploring different ways to get the work out there and express it. And so that was just another experience that next Tuesday will be the second part of the, learning the forgiveness process in this group. And we had, there was 7 or 8 people that wanted to do it, and it's in a home, and there's going to a home, and I'm in the living room, and we're having this wonderful experience. So it's interesting to watch pardon the background noise. It's interesting to watch how my true self is guiding me. The divine is guiding me to be where I need to be, to work with the people I need to work with. And it's inspiring to be able to recognize that and to be able to listen. And I would encourage all of us on the program that's listening now and just to recognize that we all have that spark of truth, and that the truth really does exist inside us as a part of our awareness, and that we just, all we can do is just to listen, is to get out of the way and listen. And those are just some thoughts that I have about what's been happening.
Well, when I've had the opportunity, Rex, to break a why workshop up, what I'll usually do is I'll then, as I complete the first half, and if I've introduced the worksheet or whether I've not, I'll let them know that they can go to the website and access the worksheet and access the instructions. So if you do, the first part of it, and they go home and they, maybe listen to some of the radio shows and do some worksheets, they'll come back even more primed for it, because they'll have their own questions from, gee, what about this? Well, how does this work? Well, I didn't understand that. And so it'll take it to a whole other level. So it's a very a functional way to do it, for sure.
Well,
and you don't have to leave them hanging at all. You can just let them know, that the worksheet is on the website, and if they want instructions for it, there are several radio shows they can start to do the worksheet process, and that'll refine their questioning process, which will enhance the whole thing.
And it is what I did without realizing I was doing that. I basically shared with them about the radio program for support, and it's a continuation process that you can hear how the worksheet process goes. You can ask questions, and also I did say you can go to the website, and there's programs that have been recorded that you can get more information on. And it's also okay to just let it rest and just let and be with it while you're, waiting for the next couple of weeks. And what I did was I just invited them to be present with the experience they were having of it. And if you do have any questions, you can always give me a call, And so I did all that, and you saying it just reaffirms the connection again, because I saw how I had an idea. I had a plan where I wanted to end the first session, and I found that where I ended up ending it was much better than where I thought I should end it. Because it ended real smoothly, and I hadn't got so much into the worksheet that they felt like they were in the middle or they were confused, but I was able to just kind of let it come to an end, and it was cool. And when I listen and I act on listening, and listening with the capital L, listening to the divine, when I truly hear that part of me and let it play through me, let Ruka and Rakhma and Kuba filter all the material, I just see things just click, 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 click. And it's when I get into my evidential mind and I start deciding this and deciding that, and I should say this and I should do that, and then I just get into this resistance and the struggle. So it's a wonderful affirmation to see that being reflected in that way.
Well, I think it was Emerson that said all we have to do is get our bloated nothingness out of the way. And that really is it. You got to get carbon-based memory to shut up. It's a database. It's there with information when you need it, and otherwise it should keep its mouth shut. And when you call on it, it's a servant. It's an horrendous master, but it's an absolutely wonderful servant. And so you call on it. It gives you what it has. Sadly, the way most people have been trained to run their lives is that the servant runs them. And if the servant runs you, man, it's hell. It is hell on earth, because the servant, the body's mind, doesn't know how to let go of anything. It just plays its trauma and its drama game. Whatever's in it is what's going to replicate. And that's why, the forgiveness process is so important, because it shuts the replicate mind up. And then the true mind, which is literally the mind of the Creator, if you listen to Paul talked about the goal of the work was to be of like mind with Christ. That wasn't a religious idea. The mind that the man named Yeshua lived in was the mind of love. That's what we're designed to live in. that mind is the only genius mind. In fact, it's the only functioning mind in the universe. And the idea is to be living in that mind and functioning out of that mind, hearing that mind's guidance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And it's an awesome process when you do that and when you trust it. Now, what the fear-based mind says is, no, you got to trust me, and boy, have I got a trauma for you. Have I got something coming down the pike that's going to get your buns? And so, many people live there and have no idea there's another possibility until they learn the tool with which to shut up the non-being mind. And that's the forgiveness process, and that's why it's so important. So if your non-being mind hits you with its hostilities and its fears over the smallest issue, like a wet piece of paper, then here's my clue. Here's another piece of my carbon-based memory that I can now empty of its aberrant content, and I can restore myself to this true state of being of a human life. And it's a pretty cool place to live.
Absolutely. I thank you. Very clearly spoken. One of the things I've observed also about the divine mind is that the universal mind is sometimes when I get an insight or I'm inspired to do something, it isn't necessarily what I might think I want to do. And
I hear that.
I'm having a little bit of a challenge with that. I'm doing some work on a friend's property, and he's all about, creating a sustainable space in his 85 acres. And so I've been clearing land for him. This is when I've been doing in my, off time when I'm not working with clients or teaching workshops. And he pays me a small amount. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I've been inspired to work with him and work with the land. And it's just an incredible piece of land. And so we're doing work, and he is so inspired, and he's in the process of writing a book, and he's a pretty amazing human being, as we all are, and he just recognizes a little more than the average person does.
Right.
And basically just, the work's physical labor. It's hard physical labor, and I've spent the last couple of years just interacting with it. And whenever I had an occasion where I was thinking, well, maybe I won't go out there and do that this summer. I think I'll just kind of take a breather on that. And boy, shortly thereafter, a series of events transpired, and then I found myself out there doing it again and working, and then one thing led to another, and boom, boom, boom. And long story short, what I've come to understand is there's a higher purpose to me being there in that process, engaging with my friend and their family and our families. And he is gradually pulling us in more and more into that process that's unfolding on this land. And I recognize as I'm allowing it to come in, when I get out of the way, I'm recognizing it was almost like this. It was very simple. I said, well, divinity, what's the next step? Well, go to work. Well, I am. No, go out to work on the land. And I went, well, I am. No, you need to do it more. Okay. And it was so funny because the resistance in me came up. I'm a young man still. I'm 58, but it's a little different than being 28. At least I've noticed it physically, And the next thing I realized is the guidance just said go do it, and so I'm doing it. I get the inspiration. I feel good about it. It feels right. And I actually had a lot of healing work that I had to do around the issues that came up about the pictures I had on what I think I should be doing.
Yep. Well, that's all part of, if you remember in the Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment workshop,
yep.
Once people do the basic exercise and come up with a statement of their purpose, the skeleton statement, then what we suggest they do is they spend the next 6 months with that in their pocket, and every time they have a choice to make sure that it is a choice rather than a decision, and to keep working through and forgiving all the parts of the brainwash that are in carbon-based memory that would lead us outside of our purpose. And so That sounds right on track. It's awesome, and I'm delighted. It'll be interesting next time we get up to Michigan to go see this piece of property. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
so
awesome.
Your website, Rex, we didn't mention your website, but it's stillpointbreathoflife.com, so you can get the schedule for Rex's support group, which is tonight on Lucy Drive in Lansing, Michigan. If anybody's in that direction, check it out, and we'll just take it from there.
Absolutely. Thank you, and God bless everybody, and let's see if we got somebody else on the call.
Actually, I need to ask Jeannie. I don't know. Jeannie, do we have any other callers?
No, nobody has their hand up, and there's nothing going on in the chat room.
Well,
so do you have
enjoying the conversation.
Rex?
Well, you know, I have found that I'm always able to come up with a thought of how valuable it is another story, you know. But I on the theme that we were talking about and what you were just talking about, this idea of the laws of living have come into play in this interaction as well, Michael, because I'm doing my very best every moment and I'm aspiring to live by a hierarchical or a conscious law of living. And I remember in the workshop in the material that there are certain guidelines that will help us move through the debris to navigate through the minutia of the brain or the mind, the human mind. And I'm finding that that's a part of it. And one of the things, I just did a talk at the Coptic Center last Sunday, and it was on, and the talk was about this, and it was about bringing into awareness, you know, our true destiny, and that is to be the love that we are, and then in doing it through spiritual unity. And one of the things I've been aware of about working in the soil, and I've got a big garden in my yard as well, and done a lot of work in my yard, but is working with the soil and becoming self-sufficient, and the importance of community, and the community that we've developed and you've developed and I'm a part of, and that we're a part of in this area here, and then also what you've done all over the world with your work and the forgiveness work and the Aramaic understanding, is developing that community is very important, and that's, you do it locally wherever you go. And I was chuckling, and when I was listening to the program last week when you were in, where was it again? You were on the island or something, but you were anyway on vacation, and when you were having a difficulty with different things, but then you basically just said, oh yeah, and I'm working with this, and I can just see you as a representative of the truth that you live. When you're about working with people, your driver is more the driver of the true goal that you're inspired to be a representation of, versus the false images and the false goals that we aspire, that we disconnect for, or apparently disconnect for, or disconnect our awareness. But you were just out there talking to people about it, you know, and I think we might be able to get into the prison and do a conversation there, and we're working with these people and that people, and I just had a big old smile on my face, and I just love that about you. And I think it's about living the laws of living, and your purpose is so clear to you that wherever you go, it expresses itself in your actions, in your words, in your thoughts. And with me working on this piece of land, there is a bigger image that I've been getting just recently, and been seeing some things come in that I've been allowed to see, that I'm playing a role in it, and this is the building process to that. And it's absolutely right on purpose for me, and it is that I just may not like all the cutting down trees and working really hard physical. I mean, I enjoy it, but it's a challenge at times. So it comes back down to that, being clear on the purpose. My purpose is, I believe, to be a representative of the divine, and then to do my work and do this work that I'm connected with through the forgiveness and helping people have an experience of their true nature and developing a stronger connection with that. And it's really important for all of us to connect with the earth aspect, the elements. And quite often we get into a mystical side of our spirituality. We miss that not most important, but a very important piece, and that is to work with the soil, and who knows what changes are coming. I know we're changing inside for sure, and there's probably going to be some outer manifestation of those changes. And it's important for us to have a connection to that part. And in local communities, I think, is a really important piece, reaching out to our neighbors, not, in Karbach, the Aramaic word for neighbor is reaching out, and anything we see or anyone we experience. So,
well, when you actually tap into your purpose, of course, there are certain things that you perhaps at one point enjoyed doing, but they are not on purpose, and they just draw your energy away, so you stop doing them. That's just part of the process. It's like every choice we make is a building block in our lives, and a lot of times people will talk about, those less fortunate, and the less fortunate made choices that produced results. We're all creators, and it's time for us to own our creative process. People call those that are more fortunate, luck smiled on them. No, luck didn't smile on them. When Charlie made the choice to go out and have 10 beers with his friends while Harry stayed and worked with his accounts or planted his garden, there was a result. And we all produce results. And the more of the building blocks in our lives, whether it's a phrase or a look or an energy that we send to our spouse or our child or our parent or the stranger, that's a building block that's going to ultimately produce results in our lives. And so oftentimes you give up doing things that you like to do, and then things you don't like to do at all, you begin to do because they're on purpose. I remember one year we had an intensive at Heartland, and the septic system had broken down, and we're in the Ozarks, so it's not too easy to get people to come and take care of things. So when the bus arrived, and there were about 20 people or so on the bus from the airport, they pulled down, and literally here I am with my arm up to the armpit in the septic system. And people getting off the bus are like, and this is our teacher for this week? Are you crazy? It's like, no. The septic systems had to be working in order for those people to be able to stay in that building, and that's what had to be done next. So that's what I do next. And so it really doesn't matter whether it's, when we were in Paradise Island in Nassau, we actually, there's a lighthouse in the Heartland. We're renaming the Heart Center the Heartland Lighthouse. And so when Ginny and I travel, we kind of try to tap into lighthouses, and there's this beautiful lighthouse out on the point of Paradise Island. So we're driving down the road, and there's a point where you just can't drive any further, and it's probably still half a mile or more to the lighthouse. And so there's some people over a fence, and the people across the fence, we asked, geez, how do we get to the lighthouse? It's like, oh, you can't get there from here. He said, well, you can actually go out and, you can maybe do it by walking the beach. So I haven't done it before, but, it's down the beach there. And so we got, just chit-chatting a little bit, and, who are we and what are we doing here? And it turns out this is the back gate. There's no roadway into this yoga center, but there is an industrial back gate from another company that kind of backs up to them. So we just happened to park there, and 3 days later, we were doing a workshop at the yoga center for about 50 people.
Oh, fantastic.
And it's just when you follow your intuitions and your inclinations, you go where you need to go, you do what you need to do, and a lot of times people get caught up in the world of stuff and lose the ability to really stay tapped into and keep open to the intuition. They're used to so much noise in their lives. This morning I was actually visiting a dentist friend of mine, and I sat in their front office, and they had this blaring television going in their waiting room, and it's just like, it's just crazy. I mean, so much racket that nobody could hear a thought in their own heads. And, sadly, most people don't want to hear or deal with the thoughts in their heads, so they are not able to hear what's on purpose, and then they wonder why they're, quote unquote, less fortunate. And so it's time for us to wake up, to be the space of love, and to hold the space for every mind, heart, and being, from the highest to the lowest, to begin to make choices that build a true human life. And so that's, of course, what we're here to support every mind, heart, and being on the planet and doing. And a big piece of that is removing what never belonged, forgiveness. So your support group is tonight at 7 o'clock?
6:45, yep.
6:45. Cool. Fabulous. All right. Well, anything else to think about? We're down to about maybe 4 or 5 minutes here. Anything else on your mind, Rex?
Well, just that I feel full of gratitude and appreciation for, the work, as you hear repeatedly, but I think we can continue to say it. The more we say it, the stronger it's going to get. And just gratitude. Thankful for, I can think of the names, Dr. Tim, Dave, Jeannie, and you, and Nene, and all the different beautiful people that have been on the program that are doing the work out there and really bringing forth the light, bringing the light into our experience and to shine the light on the darkness. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Michael and Jeannie and everyone I mentioned. So that'd be it, and thanks for giving me an opportunity to share. I love all of you, and it'll be great to see you, and I'll be on the program hopefully tomorrow, ideally. I've got a full day again, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, Michael, there is a comment in the chat room. Are you there? I'm not sure if anybody's listening to me. The comment in the chat room is that
I'm here, sweetie. My phone was it took me a minute to get back to my mute button to undo it.
Okay. Well, we've only got 2.5 minutes, but someone in the chat room says, how we're talking about responsibility for lives. How can you explain the ongoing hatred and envy that far too many white people have towards talented, intelligent black people and their continued attacks on them? And then they talk about Dr. Christian Head, surgeon of UCLA, that's suing for daily discrimination and harassment. Petitions for him circulating online with folks from all over the world signing. The level of racism is satanic. How can you explain that?
Well, here's my explanation. If you look at the whole racist game, one of the ways that insane men, that is, men who live in hostility and fear, have kept separated from others, is to make anything that's different inferior. And I'll offer that, being a white man, I've experienced it from the other end. I have some awesome, wonderful black friends, and I've experienced discrimination in that realm as well. Here we are functioning as non-humans. And where we see someone functioning as a non-human, and it brings up our non-humanness, the first piece of business, the first order of business is to clean up the non-human part of our own minds so that whatever the discrimination is, and I don't care whether it's black or red or white or male or female or homosexual or heterosexual or whatever sexual, it doesn't matter. If I can't function as love, I have a problem, and my problem isn't somebody else's discrimination. My problem is my lack of a human life. The biggest contribution that I can make is to be restored to human life and to bring my human life back into the fray. And when I do, I become the transformer that starts to change everything. And we're here to empower you in doing that. Whatever color you are, doesn't matter. We appreciate you, and we honor you, and we support you in creating the best year yet of your eternal life. Let's talk about it some more tomorrow. Blessings. Call in. Bye-bye.